Greg Norman and all those great players. I was fortunate enough to be in their company and play in golf tournaments with them. Never was a player like they were, but I appreciate all of them.
There have been many positive influences in my life. Charlie Sifford is one of them. His determination to pursue a game that he loves, despite some pretty weighty odds, has helped me understand the struggle he and other minorities went through.
Charlie Sifford picked his 5 favorite golfers. When you hear his reasons, you will understand what he meant when he said, "He was my GOAT." He faced death threats and racial heckling after the PGA removed its Caucasian-only clause in 1961. He was denied entry to clubhouses and excluded from tournaments. Yet despite all that pain, his favorite players were not chosen out of anger. They were chosen because Sifford still believed in greatness. His 5 picks show who he trusted. Quick thing, if you like stories about golf legends and the history that shaped this sport, tap the hype feature and give this video some hype. It really helps this channel. Sifford's 5 favorites were not random picks. They were a values map of what he believed golf should be. Sifford was a purist. He grew up as a caddy in Charlotte, North Carolina, and dominated the United Golf Association Tour, winning 5 straight National Negro Opens. He valued ball striking above everything else. He played in an era where equipment did not fix mistakes. A shot maker was a magician. A grinder was a survivor. Sifford placed a premium on mental toughness and class. So let us start with his 5th favorite player. Number 5, Tiger Woods, the grandson, and the Vindication. This relationship was different from the others. This was familial. Tiger Woods called Charlie Sifford the grandpa I never had. Earl Woods made sure Tiger understood black golf history. He introduced Tiger to Sifford early. Sifford became a mentor and living bridge to the struggles that made Tiger's career possible. Tiger read Sifford's autobiography, Just Let Me Play, before his first major championship. For Sifford, the Masters tournament was the ultimate symbol of exclusion. He was never invited, but in April 1997, Tiger Woods destroyed the field at Augusta. Sifford felt like he was winning too. Every record Tiger broke was a rebuke to the system that excluded Sifford. Tiger's victory was not just sporting achievement, it was settling a multi-generational debt. Sifford said that if he had not toughed it out, there would never be any blacks playing. Tiger was proof that suffering had a purpose. Tiger named his son Charlie Axel Woods as tribute to Charlie Sifford. Sifford's name would be spoken in golf for generations. Sifford did not just love Tiger because he was black. He loved him because he was the best player. In Tiger, he saw the culmination of everything he admired about golf. Tiger had Snead's power, player's fitness, Trevino's imagination, and Nicklaus's mind. Sifford viewed Tiger as the greatest because Tiger forced the world to bow to his game. Number 4, Jack Nicklaus, the golden standard. Jack Nicklaus represents a turning point in Sifford's life, marking the transition from exclusion to acceptance. Sifford's relationship began at the 1958 Rubber City Open at Firestone, where he was paired with young amateur Nicklaus. In 1958, Sifford was still technically banned from full PGA membership. Many would have protested. Nicklaus treated him with absolute respect from day one. Sifford admired Nicklaus for his character. As Nicklaus rose to power, he used his influence to support Sifford. When Sifford was nominated for the World Golf Hall of Fame, Nicklaus was a vocal proponent. He stated, "Charlie won tournaments, but more important, he broke a barrier. What Charlie has brought to his game has been monumental." When Sifford was nominated for the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2014, Nicklaus wrote a crucial letter of recommendation to the White House, arguing that Sifford's legacy was breaking barriers. Technically, Sifford viewed Nicklaus as the master of the mental game and course strategy. Sifford prided himself on mental toughness, but he saw a different kind of toughness in Nicklaus. Sifford admired how Nicklaus dissected a golf course with precision and intelligence. He outthought it. Sifford considered Nicklaus the greatest course manager in history. In Sifford's eyes, Nicklaus did not beat himself. Sifford valued Nicklaus because Nicklaus made it cool to respect Charlie Sifford. Number 3, Lee Trevino, the kindred hustler. Lee Trevino occupies a special place in Sifford's pantheon as the kindred spirit. Trevino was a Mexican-American who grew up in poverty in Texas. Like Sifford, he was a man who did not fit the mold. They were both self-taught. Both were hustlers who played for money to eat. Both were masters of manipulating the golf ball in ways the textbooks did not teach. Sifford felt a deep solidarity with Trevino. While Sifford was fighting the Caucasian-only clause, Trevino was fighting the classism of the game. They were allies in the locker room. They often shared jokes and understanding of men who had crashed a party they were not invited to. Trevino famously quipped that he and Sifford were the only ones who knew what it was like to change shoes in the parking lot because they were not allowed in the clubhouse. Sifford treasured Trevino's vocal support. Trevino was one of the few contemporaries who explicitly framed Sifford's struggle in proper historical context. Trevino said, "You have to put him in the Jackie Robinson category." This validation was crucial. While others saw him as a golfer with a grievance, Trevino saw him as a civil rights icon. Trevino backed up his words with actions. He refused to play in the Masters tournament for several years during the peak of his career, citing the club's atmosphere and its treatment of Sifford and other minorities. Sifford viewed this boycott as a profound act of loyalty. Beyond the social connection, Sifford was a fan of Trevino's game. Sifford described Trevino as a shot maker. Trevino's burning wedge, a low, piercing shot that checked up on a dime, was the kind of shot Sifford loved. Sifford compared Trevino's ability to control trajectory to the great Ben Hogan. Trevino was the ultimate tactician. Sifford also appreciated Trevino's humor. Trevino was the Merry Mex, constantly joking during rounds. Sifford recognized this as a defense mechanism. Both were shields against a world that viewed them with suspicion. Number 2. Gary Player, the brother-in-arms. If the choice of Snead was based on talent, the choice of Gary Player was based on soul. The friendship between Charlie Sifford, the African-American pioneer, and Gary Player, the white South African champion, is one of the most poignant relationships in sports history. They represented opposing poles during the era of apartheid and Jim Crow, yet Sifford and Player forged a bond that Player described as one of the greatest honors of his life. Sifford referred to Player as his man and his brother. This connection was rooted in their shared identity as outsiders to the American country club elite. Both were also the same size. Player stood 5'6". Sifford was also not a physically imposing figure compared to other giants of the game. They bonded over the necessity of grit. Both had to outwork the bigger men. The depth of their affection is best illustrated by their private interactions. Gary Player revealed in interviews that Sifford would call him frequently throughout the years. These were not merely professional check-ins, they were conversations between close friends. Player noted that Sifford would always end the calls with the phrase, "Love you, my man." This emotional vulnerability from Sifford, a man known for his hard shell and stoic demeanor, speaks volumes about the safety he felt with Player. Player, who was often criticized for his country's politics, found in Sifford a man who judged him solely by his heart and his actions. They played practice rounds together. Sifford would confide in Player about his financial struggles and his desire to prove himself. Player recalled Sifford saying, "You know, I do not have much, but I will always try. Even if I am finishing last, I am trying my best." This mantra of maximum effort resonated with Player, the Black Knight, who was famous for his rigorous fitness regimen and bunker practice. The ultimate public testament to this friendship occurred in 2004 when Charlie Sifford became the first African American inducted into the World Golf Hall of Fame. Sifford had his choice of anyone in the world to present him. Civil rights leaders, family members, or black celebrities could have done it. He chose Gary Player. The image of the white South African inducting the black American pioneer was a powerful symbol of reconciliation and the transcendent power of golf. In his speech, Player spoke eloquently of Sifford's struggle and his turn the other cheek philosophy. Player noted that Sifford paved the way not just for black golfers, but for the integrity of the game itself. Sifford's acceptance speech acknowledged Player's role and reinforced the bond they shared. Sifford admired Player's hard work above all else. He saw Player as a fellow hustler. Player did not rely on pure talent like Snead. He built his game in the dirt, working tirelessly to master every aspect of his craft. Sifford, who practiced by hitting balls into a net in his garage or sneaking onto courses at dawn, respected Player's relentless refusal to be outworked. Sifford saw in Player a kindred spirit who understood that greatness required sacrifice and dedication beyond what most golfers were willing to invest. Player often used Sifford as an example to younger pros on the tour. He criticized the sense of entitlement that he saw creeping into modern golf and contrasted it directly with Sifford's gratitude and unwavering work ethic. To Sifford, Player was the only other man on tour who seemed to want success as badly as he did, who understood the stakes of every shot. They were brothers in the struggle against mediocrity, united by their determination to prove that talent, grit, and effort could transcend any barrier placed in their way. Number 1. Sam Snead, the sweetest swing in golf. Charlie Sifford's admiration for Sam Snead is perhaps the most strictly golfing choice on his list. While their social backgrounds were fraught with the complexities of the segregated South, Sifford's respect for Snead's physical ability was absolute. Sifford famously described Snead as having the sweetest swing in the game. For a man like Sifford, who had to manufacture a swing that that could hold up under the most intense scrutiny, and on the worst surfaces, Snead's natural fluid motion was the ideal of golf. Snead's swing was characterized by a rhythmic, languid tempo that generated immense power. Sifford marveled at Snead's longevity. Snead remained competitive at the highest levels well into his 50s and 60s. Sifford also played his best PGA Tour golf in his mid-40s. Sifford saw in Snead a biological marvel. This appreciation was technical. Sifford knew how hard the game was. In interviews, Sifford would often pivot conversations about the difficulties of the tour back to the sheer beauty of Snead's ball striking. It was a form of escapism. The politics of the game were ugly, but a Sam Snead 2-iron was beautiful. This ability to separate the art from the artist's environment was a key survival mechanism for Sifford. The relationship between Sifford and Snead is historically anchored in the 1961 Greater Greensboro Open. This tournament serves as a microcosm of the civil rights struggle in sports. The 1961 Greater Greensboro Open was the first PGA Tour event in the South to invite an African-American player. Sifford accepted the invitation. He walked into a volatile atmosphere at Sedgefield Country Club in North Carolina. The Ku Klux Klan had a presence in the area. During practice rounds, he was heckled. On the first tee, people shouted racial slurs. But the golfing narrative is equally compelling. Sifford did not just participate, he led. After the first round, Sifford shot a 68 to take the lead. At the other end of the leaderboard was Sam Snead, the local hero and the undisputed king of Greensboro. The juxtaposition was stark. Snead represented the Virginian icon of the old establishment. Sifford was the intruder breaking the color line, yet on the course, a mutual respect formed. Sifford battled through the tournament. He eventually finished tied for fourth and won $5,342.19. Snead went on to win the tournament. It was his 8th victory at the event, a PGA Tour record that still stands. For Sifford, playing alongside Snead in the heat of contention validated his belief that he belonged. Snead, for his part, treated Sifford as a competitor. There are no records of Snead engaging in the vitriol that came from the galleries. Instead, Snead's focus was on the scorecard. Sifford respected this professionalism. In a week where he was threatened, the fact that the greatest player in the field treated him simply as a man to be beaten was a form of acceptance. Sifford also revered Snead for his resilience against time and his ability to remain competitive when younger players were entering their prime years. Snead won the 1965 Greater Greensboro Open at the age of 52 years, 10 months, and 8 days. He became the oldest winner in PGA Tour history, a record that speaks to his enduring excellence. Sifford, who was denied his prime years on the tour due to the Caucasian-only clause and late entry into professional golf, found inspiration and hope in Snead's late career success. Sifford himself went on to win the 1967 Greater Hartford Open and the 1969 Los Angeles Open in his late 40s, proving that he too could thrive when given the opportunity to compete. He saw Snead as the blueprint for the old pro, who could still school the youngsters and demonstrate that experience and technique could overcome youth and power. This shared defiance of age and time created a kinship between them. They were both men of the old school who learned the game fundamentally. Both learned to play with hickory and persimmon clubs before modern equipment. Both viewed the modern game with a mixture of skepticism and pride in how far the sport had come. When Sifford listed Snead first among his favorites, he was acknowledging the master of the craft and artistry. It was an admission that despite the barriers Snead's demographic represented and the privileges he enjoyed, the man himself possessed a gift that transcended politics and social division. Here is what matters about all of this. Sifford's list is the ultimate rebuttal to the racism he faced throughout his life. He did not choose players based on their race or the color of their skin. Only one was black. He did not choose them based on nationality or where they came from. He had a South African, a Mexican American, and Americans. He did not choose them based on politics. He chose them based on pure game and character. Sifford was the gatekeeper. For decades, the establishment tried to keep him out of the gate. But once he kicked it down, he stood there and decided who he would let into his heart. He let in the sweetest swing. He let in the hardest worker. He let in the kindred hustler. He let in the classiest champion. He let in the ultimate winner. He defined the values of golf. He stripped away the country club pretension and revealed what really mattered: talent, work, grit, mind, victory. These 5 men were the best at those 5 things. For Charlie Sifford, that was all that mattered. If you made it this far, you understand why these 5 men mattered so very much to Charlie Sifford and what they represented in his life. Like, subscribe, and comment below. Let us know which of Sifford's picks surprised you the most.